Hello, everyone. Today, Diaz, me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. Today, we're going to discuss Spider-Man and, of course, the 10th anniversary of the Amazing Spider-Man. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Uh, been a fun week. I was pretty excited to revisit the Amazing film and
hmm
just overall discussing Spider-Man as a character finally.
hmm
Because last year we didn't do that. It was just one time for, Spider-Man No Way Home. So I guess kind of like lead into the conversation. Is Spider-Man your favorite character, or who is your number one in Marvel Universe?
Oh man. I mean, probably Spider-Man. Uh, Definitely growing up, it was Spider-Man, and then Ant-Man uh, became a favorite. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, like it's got to be Spider-Man.
Mm, uh,
Yeah,
fascinating.
I, he's just he's the everyman. He's relatable. Like everyone can see part of themselves reflected in Peter Parker. So
Yes, that's very true. And I think um, what was kind of very unique about Spider-Man is the kind of behind the scenes creation of him, like
hmm
Stanley, of course. Famously, Stanley and uh, when he was approached to doing more like superhero comic book stuff in the silver age of comics during the 60s. He wanted to give up and he wanted to
hmm
leave the industry. And then because he
yeah.
just didn't, like he didn't think it was worth the storytelling he felt it should be presented, right?
hmm
And of course, his wife, thankfully, his wife pushed him to, pursue his way of telling stories. And, honestly, we got the Fantastic Four, and then the Incredible Hulk and, and then Spider-Man. And then it was like just doing something that was completely different, and I think every character from the Marvel Universe is like the person you relate to is like everyday civilian. You got the family type with the Fantastic Four, or or psychological problems, like anger issues, like with the Hulk. And
hmm
then with Spider-Man, you mentioned before, he's like the everyday man. He has money issues. He has girl problems. And it's very unique. I mean, at the time,
hmm
because he was a teenager, and back then it was usually for sidekicks. And uh, I think it's really incredible how this character took off right away, um, which is neat. I guess, um, and also I don't want to kind of forget about Steve Ditko. I think he's another like thing that has helped Spider-Man to be successful out
Yeah.
of the bat. Like his design of like his costume and like the way Peter was like very like lean, like skinny, is
hmm
very cool and different from Jack Kirby's design. What do
Yeah.
you think about Steve Ditko and his contributions to Spider-Man?
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man wouldn't exist without him.
Hmm.
You know, uh, that design is iconic. I'm staring. I have a giant poster of Amazing Fantasy 15 on my wall. Um,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, it's such a good design. The colors really pop.
Yes,
Um,
the
it's,
the web underneath his.
yeah, the web makes it really unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the original suit had those like web like wings too,
that's
which was cool.
that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I love that we got them in the MCU. That was a huge
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. I
Oh my
remember
god.
seeing that in the Homecoming trailer. And yeah.
Oh my god. Wonderful. I was so happy. And
hmm
obviously his eyes moving.
Yeah.
Uh
That was
that was
always,
oh my god.
yeah.
That was really great. Yeah, it's the design is great. Did you prefer um uh, do you prefer like the costume without the the glider web, or like, or you're just like you either take it or leave it?
I think like I could take it or leave it. Like I like when it is there, but I don't mind when it's not, you know.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I I kind of like it. It's always the problem where like how practical it is.
Mhm. Right.
You know, I always kind of question that. Um, the logic to it, and another, I guess, cool thing about it. I like about Pierre, like he's very smart, and I like how. Do you think? I think we mentioned before. Do you think Spider-Man is like a prodigy, or like a very smart person? Like, is he the level of like Reed Richards, or I guess Banner, like in terms of being like a scientist, because he's where do you think where his character is at as
I would say he is. Yeah. I mean, they never make him like quite at the level of a Banner or Richards, but
Mhm. Okay,
he's certainly gifted.
gifted,
Um,
yeah.
and I think the fact that he's a teenager means that he's probably not going to be going toe to toe with those guys. But
Right.
yeah,
Or
I mean, he's
okay.
up there, you know. Like he's not quite on their level, but he's
Mm,
a genius still.
right. Yeah. I because I never thought about this until I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man was in the
Mm.
MCU, because if we had Andrew Garfield, like I think he is like a prodigy person with high IQ,
Hmm.
um, because of the things he can do. Like he can make self-made gadgets and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which you do see in Holland's character.
Yeah, he made his original web shooters.
Yeah, um, both, by the way. But oh no, no. No, I just remember his webbing is from Oscorp, right? From in the Amazing Spider-Man film.
Yeah, it's from Oscorp, but he made the web shooters.
Yeah.
He
Um.
didn't design the webbing though.
the- yeah. Oh man, that's weird. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Um. Because no, you're right about Holland. Because like you saw like a one scene quick where he's like he
Mhm.
he had a paper where like web something, and then like he tested, and then was
Yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
making it in the chemistry lab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so great. Oh my god. Oh my god. I I guess this is something that I was kind of surprised when the Raimi films were like going on back in 2002, right? And
Mhm.
I knew the difference between you know the organic one and his web shooters. I always preferred the organic web. I well, I'm just I like
No,
I
yeah.
you know what I mean, because when you get powers, right? You think you should have like a specific power should be there, and I always thought like, well, of course, when you get bitten by a spider, you can kind of get organic web, right? And I I don't know, like why? I guess do you prefer the web shooters over the organic ones? I
Yeah, I definitely prefer the mechanical web shooters just because I think
mhm.
it gives him a chance to like show off his intellect as a character.
Okay. Um,
Like there's nothing in the Tobey Maguire movies that like shows me that that character is a genius. Like we're told he is, and he's working for fancy scientists, but there's no like
yeah.
evidence.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Uh,
the
um,
that's the
I,
oh
yeah,
uh
prefer
yeah.
the just like good. Um, storytelling opportunity for like if you run out of web fluid and he has to get creative, you
Yeah,
know, which they did do in one of the Maguire movies. I forget which one,
Spider-Man 2.
where he right, and he like can't produce the webs, but I don't know, it just makes more sense for it to be like a mechanical thing.
Yeah, I guess so. It was always cool to see him like yeah, right now web showers in the '90s show and in Spectacular Spider-Man as well. Um,
Mhm.
I think it was used properly. Like I don't know because the films like after the Raimi films, you do see them running out their webs, but like it's never like it never.
Yeah, they haven't really taken advantage of that in the movie yet.
Yeah, um, just like a few exception. Either it gets damaged by a villain or like in Far From Home, he did run out like web shootings, which was kind of funny because you think the Star Tech will give him a amount of webbing, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's really weird. Um, I guess I want to kind of jump into kind of like this the supporting characters. I think he has probably the best supporting characters of any like superhero character. After Superman and Batman, I
I
feel
would
like.
put him above Batman and Superman personally, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I'm just throwing like those two have like the iconic supporting like cast that
yeah,
people know.
yeah,
I'm not like ranking them. I'm just saying like because like
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
knows
They're definitely the top three. Everyone knows like Alfred and Lois Lane. Yeah.
exactly. And everyone knows like Aunt May, Uncle Ben, and Mary J. Watson, and then recently Gwen. I feel like
Hmm.
got into more of the conversation
Yeah.
um with the films, and then of course the Spider-Verse connection, and then
Hmm.
all that. Um, yeah. Who's your favorite Spider-Man love interest? I'm
Oh,
kind
it's
of
Gwen
curious.
Stacy. It's Gwen
Oh,
Stacy.
okay. That's my same as well. I
Okay.
actually like
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I love her.
Hmm.
Um, well, I got into the character because of the Emma Stone portrayal in
Hmm.
the.
Yeah. I mean, she was great. She's fantastic.
Yeah, it was so a great performance, way better than the Maguire and like Dunson's relationship.
Yeah. It definitely helped that Garfield and Stone were dating at the time, but
Yes,
like their chemistry is just insanely believable in that movie.
yes,
Um, yeah,
and
and oh, man, they're both such good actors anyway that like I think that would have been the case
yes,
regardless. But oh man, it
yeah,
feels so authentic.
yeah. And the writing is better. That's another thing.
Yeah.
They like realistically like depict relationship better,
Hmm.
and because the Maguire films was very much like they were like in the like this mind of the '60s, and then but then they were trying to be contemporary, and like it felt
Yeah.
off.
It was very campy.
Yeah, very campy.
Yeah.
But then the problem is, my problem is because I read a couple issues with Mary Jane, and her personality is very like she's very was it like robust? Like she's a very robust person who has this like very dark background. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
it, like how her father was like a abusive person, and like the family had to leave. Like if you read the original like Venom saga, like we get
Mhm.
like her full background, and
Yeah.
the Spider-Man films kind of vaguely touch on that.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like the disappointing thing is that we never touch on Watson's like background properly, and I just feel like we just didn't do enough with Kristen Dunst's version of Mary J. And also, she was very unlikable. I like, especially in Spider-Man 2, like she like didn't give Peter a chance to explain himself what happened, and like
Hmm.
he, her getting married was just like a spite on Peter, and I didn't like that. And then, like towards the end, she leaves. Was it Jameson's son?
Hmm.
And then like she hooks back to Peter, and I didn't like that. I just felt like that was going too far. And Spider-Man 3 is just like, oh my god, just the worst like
Yeah.
relationship, like breakdown, and just like it's a classic like poor communication relationship, and that's like the
Yeah.
perfect.
Like just talk to each other. It was like,
Exactly.
even when I saw that in theaters and I was, oh man, whoever old, not that old. I was probably like a preteen. Um, I was like, just talk to each other. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was the first time that like a relationship thing bothered me in like a movie or TV show.
Yes.
It was like the first time I was old enough to be like, if you would just like sit down and have a conversation, none
Yeah.
of this would be happening.
Exactly. Like, especially in Spider-Man 3, like
Yeah.
she should have told Peter about like Harry forcing her to, say this thing, blah blah blah. But like, it's just ugh, it's going too far. Um, and then we got the third one, or like kind of like this Catwoman like relationship for the superhero side of Spider-Man. Of
Hmm.
course, is Black Cat. I really like Black Cat. I think she's my second favorite after Gwen. Um,
Okay.
as a love interest, I think just in general, I like that Spider-Man has his like own Catwoman, and Felicia is a very fascinating character, and
Hmm.
I'm hoping we can get her in a movie, because I feel like this is
Yeah.
something we haven't done with Peter in the movies.
I
Um,
think she'd be really good for like the next trilogy to be
yes,
around.
yes. What's your thoughts on Black Cat?
She's probably my third favorite.
Okay,
With MJ as number two, not the MJ from the Raimi movies, but
yeah, yeah,
MJ generally. Yeah, I think she's really interesting. I like that she is like only in a relationship with the Spider-Man side of Peter Parker.
yes,
That's a really interesting dynamic.
yeah,
Um,
um, yeah,
yeah, and she's just a lot of fun. So I love when there's like a love triangle with her and Peter and MJ.
yes. I do agree. You get that in the PS4. If you played the
Yeah, I love that's my favorite Spider-Man story is
yes,
that game.
yeah, the
Yeah.
DLC
Hmm.
pack. I really thought that they did a really good job on depicting that.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't like awful. It was like, it was very cute. Like,
Hmm.
because both of them were older people now, and so um, it was very cool to see that. I
Hmm.
I think Black Cat has the most interesting like adaptation in the medium. Like, it's kind of interesting to see the '90s one, and then the Spectacular one has an amazing one with her. I think her father being the one that killed Parker's Uncle Ben in that
Mm.
in that universe, and um, and then also in the PS4, it's also kind of intriguing of her background. Like, it's they did a good job of adapting this character into the media very well, for in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I always say that. And then the thing I like about Spider-Man is kind of like his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I like I um I like he doesn't have parents, and like we're dealing with like an actual orphan, and straight on, and like in a very realistic way, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, But one thing it does kind of bother me is the parents. Like, I just don't need like a background about his parents like being agents and
Yeah,
like it's better that
I agree.
like it's better to just leave it like they die accidentally, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because I don't like the way we do it in the Amazing films, and that was like went too
yeah.
far.
That is, yeah. I rewatched the Amazing Spider-Man for the first time in a while in
Mm,
preparation for talking about it, and yeah, I love the movie, but definitely that whole plot line, I was like, I don't need this. I don't want this. Uh,
oh, it's oh my god, it they
it
didn't.
feels so unnecessary, and then like I don't know if you want to get into talking about the movie
Yeah,
or if we want to save this for later, but
yeah,
aspect of the plot is horrible.
yeah. I think we'll save it later
Okay. Yeah.
in the movie discussion because yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Especially because it connects to the sequel, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but I will say I, I don't mind like touching upon the parents, but like I don't need like a conspiracy thing
Yeah.
with it,
I don't need them to be present in the plot.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But that's another conversation. We could go in very deep for that film.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess what's your thoughts on Aunt May? I like the character. I think she's very important. um,
Yeah. No, she's great. Um,
um,
I don't know. I like when she's serving as Peter's like moral compass
yes.
in hard times. But I also like the stories where she's like aware that he's Spider-Man and she's just kind of helping him. Those
Yeah,
are fun too. Um,
yeah. Um, how she knows he's Spider-Man? Like that's just a weird thing for me. Like, I mean, well, I I guess him doing weird things in the house makes sense, right? Like
yeah, I think she's smart enough to put two and two together, you know?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on like I don't know which version you're talking about, but
Oh, um, well, it's weird because I think the Raimi films, like, I think she's aware of it, but
right.
like
But she
it's like
never says anything or it's
yeah,
never like explicit.
yeah, it's like the Lucius Fox like Batman
Hmm.
relationship in the Dark Knight trilogy,
Yeah.
and then the Amazing films, I like it's kind of like it's like tag on towards the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like she
Um,
knows.
no, I was watching the first one. They don't say it,
Hmm.
but she knows.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, Peter like comes home and he's got a bunch of like bruises on his face, and
Oh, yeah,
she like figures it out, and you can like see it in her eyes, and she just like hugs him,
yeah.
but
Okay,
doesn't say anything.
okay.
So I think she figured it out in the first movie.
Yeah, okay. Well, then it makes sense with her speech towards the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then, okay, it's the same thing with the Raimi films, but it's just a little more like clear, I
Yeah,
think. And then obviously the MCU version of Aunt May, like she knows why, like towards the end of the Homecoming, and then
right. Yeah,
yeah, but then with No Way Home, she's basically the Uncle Ben of that universe,
hmm,
um, which is very interesting. And I think I want to get into now the conversation of Uncle Ben. Like, I think Uncle Ben is like the best like motivation to push a hero to become like the hero. I
Hmm.
feel like, and I mean, honestly, with great power, there must be always come great responsibility. It's a great line, and I feel um, like just Uncle Ben himself is like a great like superhero like plot point that gets to the heart of a character, and I feel like
Hmm.
every medium does that very well, and I think the Raimi and the Amazing films done a really great job. And then, of course, the MCU was kind of weird about it, but then they used Aunt May to become like the Uncle Ben for him in that universe, and I think that worked very well.
Hmm.
But what do you thought about Uncle Ben? Like you agree that he's like a great character to really push the hero's journey and like all the major
Yeah,
storylines.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason everyone knows who Uncle Ben is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because that um, story
Sweet.
beat's just so like great and iconic and powerful. So
Oh my god. I because this year we got the Amazing Film 10th anniversary, and then you got the Spider-Man one. The Raimi one has its anniversary. It's 20 years.
hmm.
Crazy. Um, my favorite, like I don't. It's kind of funny to call it favorite because it's kind of sad. Um, I think the Raimi Spider-Man film, Uncle Ben's death, is my favorite because just that kills me, and that hit me very hard
Yeah.
when when Peter comes into the crime scene and he sees Uncle Ben laying there on the floor, and then he like sees him and it's like Peter, and it's like he's like struggling to say his name, Peter, and
Hmm.
oh that kills me. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god. Um, I don't mind the Amazing Ben death.
Hmm.
I I think it when we get to the Amazing Spider-Man, I feel like it retreated too much on the first film in
Yeah.
in certain
It,
areas, and
I think it wanted to do exactly the same thing that Raimi did, but
okay,
knew it couldn't be like identical. So it's like just a worse version of what Raimi
that's
did.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah,
but I do like what they did there. But it's not as good as the Raimi film there.
no. I mean, nothing can beat Cliff Robertson's performance there. I think it's very powerful. I like um I appreciate like the Raimi films using him like in like like a spec way, like in Spider-Man 2 and like the dream sequence,
Hmm.
and then of course the flashbacks in Spider-Man 3 with the retcon of the origin. Like
Hmm.
I like we bring back Uncle Ben a couple of times because that always in the stories we do with Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and I really like that. And then I guess what's your opinion? Like, do we need the great responsibility line for Spider-Man in every media? Like, I mean, because every media did that, except
Yeah.
with Amazing, really. Um,
Well, amazing. Again, I think they were trying really hard to not retread stuff that was in the Raimi movies.
yeah,
So they don't have that line, but Uncle Ben gives a really clunky speech that basically says the same thing.
yeah. By the way,
Um,
um,
mhm.
when he points at Peter, he does the Spider-Man, was it swing pose? The
Oh,
when
does he?
yes, it's there, and I wonder if Peter took that and he used that as a way to do the web streaming. Like if you go back and see the scene, you see it
Hmm.
like very quick, and he does the point, but like you see his like thumb, and then the finger, and then towards the end of the pinky, it's the Spider-Man
Hmm.
swing pose he uses. very like
Maybe.
yeah, it's very cool. You have to see it. It's very
Mhm.
subtle and like a very cool like Easter egg on how like why Spider-Man get that pose, like how he swings and like how he
Mhm.
activates it, you know. Uh, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, and then um, did you mind that because like then we get into the MCU and like you got the MCU not addressing Uncle Ben. Like now we got No Way Home. What's your opinion now with that film coming out last year and like the way the MCU has handled Uncle Ben? Did you appreciate they didn't address him and like what's your opinion on that? Because it still kind of bugs me, but like I'm fine with it because
Yeah.
of what No Way Home did. You know,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I
Like,
think I feel the same way. Like
okay,
um I was fine with them just kind of like ignoring it, ignoring Uncle Ben because we'd already seen that story in 2 movies.
okay.
And then uh in No Way Home they did it again anyway, but with Aunt May. Um
Mhm.
but they executed it really well, so like I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Um
Um.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm. I guess I kind of wish we made it very clear that Uncle Ben was like a partner to Aunt May, but like Peter didn't know well, and so he
Well,
wasn't
yeah. I
like
mean, he might have known him well. I there's like we know that he exists because
yeah,
Peter uses his bag in Far From Home, and then
yeah.
there
Um.
uh Peter kind of gives a version of the like with great power speech to Tony
Tony.
Stark in Civil War,
Yeah.
which like you know could imply that like something happened with Uncle Ben that was similar.
Yeah. Um. Which was better than the amazing one. Actually, when you're mentioning that scene, I was like, oh no, no, it's good. I think
I don't know if they're both clunky,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I will say it's good that we're talking about the amazing film. One thing I will give a plus to is that the Uncle Ben and Peter relationship in Amazing Spider-Man is great and is
Yeah,
fully
I
developed. And I'm
and
sorry,
Aunt May.
yeah, and MA and where the MCU, I'm very confused and very unclear on the relationship between this version of Peter and Uncle Ben. Like, I get the traditional of Uncle Ben and Peter's relationship, but you need to give me more concrete what was his importance to Tom Holland's version.
Yeah,
And we
I
don't
think ultimately May is serving that role for the
exactly.
character, which is fine. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just think I do think he did have like a relationship with his uncle, but it just wasn't as impactful as his relationship with Aunt May.
yeah. Um, yeah, and it bugs me because I think they should be more because like you mentioned the Civil War speech he does to Tony, right?
Hmm.
It's a really good one to explain why he's doing this, why he's doing the Spider-Man thing, you know? And
Hmm.
I mean, I like how Homecoming handles it, but then when we get to like what Far From Home, that's where I take a problem with it. Um, because you mentioned the suitcase, and like he bluntly doesn't care about the suitcase, and like towards the end of that film was like Aunt mentions like where's your suitcase, and it got destroyed, and like they like oh let's go. I was like what
Hmm.
like like should you care about the stain that's like from your like important father figure you had in your life? Like I don't know, like I mean, that film is very bizarre. Like it's very tone deaf sometimes. Far from home, but
yeah.
what are we gonna do? I mean, um, and then anything else to say about Uncle Ben? Um, I feel like I think we hit the trusses. Um, let's get into like the other supporting characters like Flash Thompson, Joe. Let's get into Joe John Jameson. He's another one that's classic. Like he's like the anti Perry White, um, which I like. And obviously, J.K. Simmons, who plays him from the Raimi films, and then of course in the MCU, he's so terrific. One of the best, like,
yeah, he's perfectly cast.
exactly. And it was, I mean, I'm always like open minded and have like a new actor to play the character, but uh, I'm fine if you want to get JK back, but I think this character is really awesome. What's your favorite version of Joe John Jameson besides the Raimi films? Because I like the '90s one. Because
Yeah.
uh,
Probably the one from the PS4 game,
oh
which is
yes,
still J.K. Simmons, but I love the like Alex Jones-esque podcast host J. Jonah Jameson, which is what they ended up
yes,
doing in the MCU too.
yeah,
But oh man, whenever I was playing that game and one of the like is it Just the Facts with J. Jonah Jameson like podcasts came on, I would like stop swinging around the city just to like guarantee that nothing would interrupt it because I had to listen to the whole thing. Like it's so good.
oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, I like that interpretation. Yeah, it was funny. When we actually see him in was it the Miles video game when
Yep.
he needs to stop Rhino, and like that scene was my favorite. Oh my god, that was so hilarious. And yeah, I agree. I think that version, and then of course the Raimi films are great. My favorite is the '90s one because it explained why he hate Spider-Man, like why he hate like hooded superhero people, because a hooded like hitman or like mugger kill his wife, and I felt that was always a great explanation of why he like distrusts Spider-Man. And I think I that's one of the things I like about this character is his like distaste of Spider-Man is believable when you get like clear information. And I think the '90s show does a really like awesome way to explain why he doesn't like Spider-Man. Um, and it's kind of fascinating. He doesn't get in trouble with the law. The fact that he is the one that pushes some of the rogues being like real, like he sponsors what the Spire Slayer, the Smines, and then he pushes Matt Gargan to becoming the Scorpion. I kind of fascinated why he doesn't get in trouble, like why he doesn't get arrested with those things. Like, well, I mean, they had to have evidence, right? Like to link him to those like crimes that those people did, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Will?
Yeah, no, I love when like he's so convinced that Spider-Man is a villain that he's willing to like
yeah
hire actual villains to it's great.
Yeah.
He's so it's not that he's evil. He's just so misguided.
That's true. Okay.
Caught up in his vendetta.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is it's just like great like comic material. Like okay, like I meant like comic as in comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of like it's like weird, like Happy Gilmore, where like the golfer that's like very like fancy, and like like you understand why he hates Gilmore in that film, because he's this like average person that hasn't done golf, like that,
Mm.
like in a very comedic way, because there's no
Yeah.
way you have someone that will literally sabotage your game, and like it's just going too far.
Hmm.
um and another character I like that like balance Jameson is Robbie. He's my favorite supporting character in the Spider-Man universe. Robbie, what's his last name? Ugh, God, it's been, the gentleman that supports Spider-Man. Uh, let me.
Robertson.
Yes. Yeah, uh, hold on. Yes. Yes. Robbie Robertson. We,
Hmm.
they're doing the LL again. Will they? Oh my god. Oh god. Yeah, just like Superman, like Spider-Man has like a couple of these, like John Jameson.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Oh my
It's
god,
great.
it's
I
just
love those names.
oh my god. It's hard for me to say these names, man. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Ugh, like it's. I think it's far worse in Superman than Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Like you got like Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Lana Lane, Lucy Lane. Oh
Yeah,
my
they're all
god.
the same letter
Oh
for
my god, it's just
yeah.
messed up. Leah Luthor,
Hmm.
Luthor's sister is like, crazy. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, I really like Robbie Robertson. I think he's a great character. He's great in the '90s show as well. There's a great episode where his son gets like in trouble with the Tombstone character, and and he's trying to pick up the gun that Robbie has, and it's a really powerful scene, because this is like
Hmm.
the only time that show you see like an actual gun, then like the sci-fi guns that the '90s show do. Um, yeah, and then Betty Brant is great as well.
Hmm.
I really like that character, especially when we get into like the Hawk Goblin stuff. If you ever read that storyline,
Hmm.
and any opinions on Betty Brant? Um,
Yeah,
I
she's interesting.
yeah, yeah, I'm not too familiar with her. Like I I know it's like her major one, like her major storyline or like story I heard is like the Ned Leeds like Hobgoblin thing, um, which is weird because of
Hmm.
the crazy Marvel editorial problem that was going on during that run. Ugh, crazy. Um, and then I guess who else that we haven't mentioned in supporting cast? I mentioned Flash Thompson. Did you have any opinion about
Hmm.
Flash Thompson? I um
Um, yeah, I mean, he's usually just like classic bully.
yeah,
And then I liked, so it was about 10 years ago, they started doing the Agent Venom thing. And I
yes,
thought that was a good direction for the character.
yes, yeah. I think it was a good progression for the character, and it added more intrigue to the relationship to Spider-Man and the Venom
Hmm.
thing, and then Peter and Flash's relationship.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like how he's like a Spider-Man fanboy, and then
Yeah.
and he doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man, and like he bullies the Spider-Man, and he doesn't know that
Hmm.
his favorite person is that person. I do like that running gag
Hmm.
on Thompson. Like he's a huge Spider-Man fanboy. Oh my god. Um, I I don't think the '90s show made a big deal of that. Like I know like the was it Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends cartoon
Hmm.
show makes a big deal of that. Spectacular makes a big deal of that, but like I can't remember if the '90s show does that. Um, uh, which maybe I need to rewatch that. Thank God that's in Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I think that's well, I mean that's kind of like the major characters. There's so many supporting characters, like
Yeah, he has a ton.
yeah, like there's Liz Allen I haven't mentioned. Um,
Mhm.
Madam Webb, of course, if you're a huge '90s fan
Mhm.
like me, and then Ned Leeds, of course, he's now well known because of the Homecoming trilogy.
Mhm.
But I guess we can like get into the last topics of the major one that we haven't discussed is the Rose Gallery. Now this is where I'm very excited about. So I think we discussed this before. I think Spider-Man has the best Rose Gallery,
Mhm.
in my opinion. After Batman, you
Okay.
can do whatever you want. Will
No,
you can say number one for
I have
Spider-Man?
to. I'll concede for Batman.
Okay. And okay, I'm happy about that because Batman has his best rogues. But
Yeah. No, I DC does villains very well.
yes,
Like
I
at least with the Batman and the Flash.
yes, the Flash.
Yeah.
Oh
Whereas
my god.
I feel like Spider-Man's the only Marvel character that has a good rogues gallery.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like he has like the most like variety
Hmm.
than any Marvel rogues I ever seen. Like I mean, even like the Fantastic Four has iconic ones, but like they're few and in
Right.
between. I, I
Yeah.
and
Like you got Doctor Doom and like Kang, and then after that you got like the Mole Man.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a short list.
yeah, and there's a problem where like Marvel always use one rogue into their rogues gallery.
Hmm.
Like it's not like the Avengers, like when you have the all-star team and they use the rogues, but everyone's using their rogues. It's like it's
Hmm.
weird. Like Iron Man has I don't know, like he always battles Doctor Doom sometimes, and like I don't know, like it's weird. Or I there there has to be a good example. Like or like Captain America's villains, or sometimes the Avengers villains. Like it,
Hmm.
it's kind of weird whose rogues they are. I feel like or Spider-Man with Kingpin, where he's everyone knows he's like originally from a Spider-Man villain, but like a lot of people like me always associate him as a Daredevil villain.
Hmm.
And I feel like, but thankfully Spider-Man's rogues is like this is Spider-Man's rogues gallery. Like it doesn't
Right.
matter how like you know they've been finding the other Marvel heroes. Like these are the Spider-Man villains, which I like. And weirdly, he has three arch enemies. Do you agree on
Hmm.
that? Honestly, which is intriguing. That's something I never heard before. I think Batman has four arch enemies, but it's just like Joker took. Oh, you disagree?
No, I'm trying to think of who Batman's would be.
Oh, um
Like I Joker, obviously. I can't think of any that are like on the same level as Joker.
um I it's been kind of consistent if you take notice of it because of the '60s show and how like who was the most popular from that show and how the impact in the comics. I'm saying is the Riddler, Penguin, and Catwoman. Like they're the four major ones after the
Okay.
Joker. That's like the more arch enemies
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like even you see that in the new Matt Reeves Batman film that's coming out. All
Yeah,
three
we got
are
Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman. Yeah.
yeah, and then they're the ones that are like the most recurring in the multiple live action stuff. Like
Mm-hmm. And
like
Two Face.
yeah, well except Two Face. Well, Two Face got popular after Batman and Batman the animation series, but whatever.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite villain? Spider-Man. Let's get into
Spider-Man.
yes. Who's your favorite
Um.
villain?
Oh man. It might just be because I just watched The Amazing Spider-Man, but I really like the Lizard.
Oh, really?
And I know that's like a left field pick.
Wow.
Yeah, I like Doc Ock too. That's classic.
He's my number one.
Yeah.
He's my number one.
I don't know. I like the Lizard.
Okay.
Because like,
Well, he's like I like him because he's like a sympathetic villain.
yeah, he's sympathetic, and then once he does like turn, he's
Yeah.
like he's just like silly. Like he's not that like evil. He's always either just like I want to keep being a lizard, or sometimes I want to turn other people into lizards, which is just
that's true.
goofy and fun, and I love it. And then Kurt Connors is, like you said, like very sympathetic because he's just trying to become whole again.
Yeah. Or be resourceful again with his family.
Yeah.
Because that's the one aspect I like about the Lizard is his family interaction. Like they're the best stuff in his like episodes and the various animation shows. From the '90s show and then Spectacular. I thought they really had a great one there.
Yeah.
When we get to Amazing Spider-Man, that's my biggest complaint. It's like they didn't.
His family wasn't.
There. It's like that's like the most important thing about the Lizard. Yeah. And then No Way Home just there. I mean, even
he's present.
Yeah, like he was just present. I was so shocked when I saw that. I was like, wow, like the Lizard should be more big deal, and it's just
Like maybe they just couldn't get the actor,
Yeah,
and also maybe they like didn't want to crowd the movie even more than they already were.
Yeah.
Like I would have preferred if Lizard and Sandman got more time, but
yeah. I feel like Sandman got better things than the Lizard.
He definitely got more than the Lizard for sure.
Yeah,
but still like they couldn't get the actor like on set.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's not the screen time. It was just like why like the reason I liked Sandman there is because he was consistent from his Spider-Man 3 appearance. Like that's the thing. If the creators of the No Way Home film kept like they brought in the deleted scene from Amazing Spider-Man of him talking to his son, which is in the Blu-ray or whatever you have in DVD, right? Is there. I wish we maybe brought it into the conversation and then it made maybe the Lizard more complex, but they didn't do that.
No, they
didn't. What else? I think other characters I like from the Rose Gallery. Obviously, I think I love Hobgoblin. I want to talk about that.
Go for it.
Yes, I love the Hobgoblin. I think he's a better Goblin than the Green Goblin, just personally.
Okay.
Because the '90s show, like he was the first Goblin there, and of course it was voiced by Mark Hamill, which is great. And I just like his design more than the Green Goblin. I think the hood and the cape works well, and I think the Robert Kingsley, the actual Hobgoblin, not the Ned Leeds, because that wasn't the intent. Holder of the Hobgoblin, as I didn't know Ned Leeds was the Hobgoblin. I thought it was Robert Kingsley, but it was some weird Marvel editorial problems that was going on during the '80s. Very weird, but I think the Hobgoblin was intriguing character. I think when you read his like old classic stuff, he's really great as a master manipulator. I really like him
Hmm.
more than the Green Goblin. I like his interaction with Kingpin during the war saga that was going on in the 80s. It was really cool when he also teamed up with the Rose, another criminal mastermind who was Wilson's son, who
Hmm.
wanted to take down his father's empire. Uh, I think Green Hobgoblin is really great. I think he's a very fascinating character and who wants, power and all that. Um, and then I guess I want to get into uh, the one character. I want to say the one character. I want to say the movies that made this one character I did not care for made me like him more is the Vulture. I actually now like the Vulture more because of what
Hmm.
Homecoming did. I think
Yeah.
now I appreciate what they're doing with the Vulture. I think he's my favorite character in the Rose Gallery. Do you have that? What other character that like this movie made this one character you didn't care for like more?
The movie.
I mean, as far as far in between. uh,
I'm trying
yeah. Um,
to. Maybe Green Goblin.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I really liked the dynamic in the Raimi movies where he was like a surrogate father for Peter.
Yes. Very prominent in the first film.
Hmm.
Then, like even the end of the when before he died, was trying to trick Peter to saying like, "I'm like a father to you,"
Hmm.
and and then of course Peter like say no, my real father was Uncle Ben or Ben Parker, and he's like Godspeed Spider-Man, and then boom, kill himself. Well,
Hmm.
uh, oh man, great scene, and but overall, saying like the father and son relationship in the first film and hits right spot then. No, he knew who his father was, and I like that scene. This great bookend. Um, who else? I guess I one character I didn't know too well that I like now is Mr. Negative from the PS4.
Yes.
I dug that character.
Hmm.
I want to see him in the new trilogy. I think he could be a good adversary for Peter to
Oh,
face.
he'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I, um,
yeah. It's too bad that Aunt May isn't around anymore in the movies because I really liked the
oh
relationship where he was like really involved with Feast.
yes, um, I that's true. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Feast was in these movies.
Yeah, the Feast was in the MCU.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that it was in the juice in Far From Home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like it came out after the PS4.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny that they took that. I think you could do Mr. Negative. Like you can say he was like a good fan of like a good friend of Aunt May in the feast. And
Hmm.
when he hears Ant Man's death, I think you can make that as the motivation why he becomes Mr. Negative.
Hmm.
Like he is this new like he's kind of like similar to Mysterio from Far From Home. Like he's this new hero. He's trying to do the thing that Peter failed to do was to save people. Like I think you can do that thing where he's a person villain because he is like one of the aspects I like about the villains of Spider-Man is that they're like a mirror image of Peter, but also a personal
Hmm.
friend or someone close to Peter. And I think those are the best villains that you get
Hmm.
in stories, and I think Spider-Man does that very well. That's why the films have worked these last 20 years
Hmm.
since the first Spider-Man. Like, I mean, even No Way Home, they totally like doubled down on that. Like, Peter knows Electro and Lizard. I mean, Lizard like Spider-Man knows, Flame Marco. Doctor
Mhm.
Octopus, and it's very good that they kept that in the villains, because sometimes when the superhero movies, when they adapt the villains, it, it's weird how the villain is so important in the story, but like I don't get connected to it like the
Mhm.
way they think they're doing, you know? Like like Thor 2, with Malekith, that doesn't work because he's not an adversary for Thor. He's like this old villain that's like connected to like Owen's previous family member. It's so disconnected,
Yeah.
Whiplash, good example. I like the character in paper, but he's not like a villain for Tony. He's like a villain for Howard, and I mean, I like his plan of like attacking the Stark legacy. That's good,
Mhm.
but it they don't have enough like they shouldn't have left Whiplash off like the first act and then just have Hammer be the major villain throughout that film. But they did the classic thing. It's like we need to keep, because like Make It Work was very high at the
Mhm.
time, with the wrestler and all that. And then we mentioned Ant-Man, of course. My problem with the Darren Cross character, like he's more of a Hank Pym villain than a Scott villain, and that's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Um, thank God the Spider-Man villains are like kept no, they had to be connected to Peter, or a personal acquaintance to Peter, and then the story works. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes a lot of these superhero films do the wrong mistake, uh, and yeah, then they're in trouble.
Mhm.
um, yeah, like Mysterio. I think um, I have my problems with Far From Home, but I think the way we depict Mysterio is great, and that's a good example of trying to connect to Peter. Like he's not like a friend, or
Mhm.
I mean, he doesn't know Peter personally, but like he was connected to Tony, and like that works. So that's very good.
Yeah. And then he does develop a personal relationship with Peter, so it still
Yes,
feels personal.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, and I didn't care about this character in the films, but like after No Way Home, I liked this more. Electro, played by Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the wasted opportunity in two, but got
Um,
totally redeemed in No Way
yeah,
Home.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a dumpster fire.
oh my
Um,
god. Yeah,
but
oh my god, 2 more years and then we had discussed that. uh, oh my god, yeah, yeah, God, and I guess to kind of wrap things up with the Rogues, do you like their costumes, in Page and in live action? I'm kind of curious to discuss that with you right now.
yeah,
Um,
I mean, like they've all had several different versions of their costumes.
yes,
So
yeah,
it's hard to. There's some that I like and some that I don't. There are some that I think work in certain mediums that wouldn't translate well to others.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
or even just like eras. Like Elektra's original 60s costume is like fine for the 60s. I think it's like fun and like goofy looking. So it
yeah,
fits like tonally. But if you
yeah,
put like if you tried to make a live action version of that costume, it would look really stupid.
yeah. Um, I think they could have done the one that happened recently where he doesn't wear the mask, and like he was kind of bold, and like he has like the eyes like kind of burn, but like it's shaped like electricity around his
Yeah, I
eyes.
mean they could have done it like the PS4 version.
Yeah, which it did
Um,
retain his color scheme like of Lilo. Um,
but
uh, yeah, I agree. I like,
and he would like when he had his powers activated, and he had scars.
yes. Um, I like
Yeah.
how No Way Home they deformed the mask when he did the electricity.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way to pay homage to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I liked his design in No Way Home.
yeah, way better than the Amazing Man. To again,
So much wrong with it. Yeah.
yeah, so much wrong. Yeah.
I don't mind him being
Right. Oh, y- uh,
hmm?
you cut off there just a minute.
Oh,
uh,
yeah, I just said it, um, the ultimate Electro design didn't translate well into live action.
no, I I think they overthink. I think the suit he got was fine. It was just the blue electricity, like making his skin blue, just didn't make a
Yeah,
lot of sense. Like, just keep Jamie Foxx's face and that's it. Like, that's
yeah, and yeah, so much of it just
yeah,
was executed poorly.
yeah. I will say, I think Spider-Man's rogues are like the most successful at adapting their costumes after Batman's because like I'm like Sandman and Mysterio has the most comic accurate costumes, and then
hmm
you got the ones I think Doctor Octopus and who else picked that I guess the Lizard have very good like contemporary designs, but like
hmm
at least they are like you recognize them as the characters from the comics. And
Yeah.
then I think the ones that are the most difficult, I think the most difficult has been the Green Goblin. I feel like I
Well, I mean, the original Willem Dafoe.
um you like
It's pretty comic accurate.
yeah
I don't know if I
um
like it, but it's
yeah
accurate.
yeah
He looks like a Power Ranger
eh,
villain, but
that's the thing. I like things about it, but then there's just certain things I don't like about it. That's how I feel. Um, uh, I
hmm
I don't know. Like I think that I kind of wish they do the animatronic face that they were testing before they did the final pick of the mask
hmm
because it could have been better because it looked more menacing and like it felt more comic accurate. But I cannot blame them for not
hmm
going there because
yeah.
it could have been more difficult. But I did appreciate at least it looked like a goblin suit. So
hmm
what else I can say? And yeah, so I think who else I I think who else we haven't mentioned? Oh, we mentioned Green Goblin. Like, who's your pick of the arch enemy for Spider-Man? Is it Venom or Doc Ock or Green Goblin? Like, who's you think is the actual arch enemy?
I think it's Doc Ock.
Okay,
Um, but I would prefer when it's Norman Osborn.
yeah, I think everyone kind of does that because I feel like he has the one that has the most impactful storyline, kind of like the
hmm
Joker with the Killing Joke and Death in the
hmm
Family. Like, he killed Gwen Stacy. I mean, that's the thing that tops him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Doc Ock, I like Doc Ock. I think he's a good arch enemy for Spider-Man because he's an equal to him. Like, he's a scientist as well. Like,
Right.
he,
Yeah.
he has those ambitions like Peter has. When you see him, that yeah. What else? I guess I'm trying to figure out. Other what's your least favorite villain from the Rose Gallery? I'm kind of curious about that one.
And I mean, probably one of the ones that you like never think about. Um, Something like Hydro Man or
Hydro Man.
like
What? No way. I like Hydro Man. I think he has a good.
I'm
I
not
don't know.
saying he's bad. I the real answer is someone whose name I can't remember. Like someone
Oh,
who's just so utterly forgettable.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
there aren't any that I like dislike.
Dislike.
There's
Yeah,
some that are good and some that are like forgettable.
yeah. I agree. Um, I think my least favorite is this character called Screwball. Uh,
Okay,
from
again, yeah. I
y-
have no idea who that is. So,
exactly. And
no, there is a screwball in the video game, right?
yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Like,
Okay.
I, I
Um,
like. Why do we have that character? And like, is she actual
was
villain?
she in? Is she an actual villain? I do remember her being annoying in the video game now.
Yes, I'm just looking at it now. I think this character is like new. Hold on, let me screw. If not, I think this is like a original character, maybe.
Could be.
I, cause I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Um,
so, but I feel like that
no.
character was weird.
Yeah, screwball. Um, was from a 2008 comic. Just looked it up. Amazing
Okay,
Spider-Man number 559.
okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I see it here. Oh yes, and it doesn't have a name. It's just unknown. And of course,
Yeah.
this character is created by Dan Slott and Marcus Martini. And the description is kind of funny. It's the world's first live streaming supervillain. Uh, what? Oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah. Really bizarre character. Um. Oh my god. Yeah. Real bizarre. Um.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the worst characters I have seen because I
I
think. Oh, go ahead.
you go.
Go.
You go.
No, no,
You
no,
go.
no. I wasn't gonna say that. I was making a joke. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh she seems very like the writers like what are the kids like? They like live streaming and then they made um
Screwball.
yeah.
Yeah, really bizarre.
Yeah.
Um. Oh my god, I hated it in the daily like in during the
Yeah.
game and the DLC. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my
She was
god,
annoying.
like she was trying to be the Riddler, but like far worse. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, and those missions in that game were like so repetitive.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hope they get better. In the sequel. Ugh,
Yeah. I
this,
mean,
you know.
yeah.
Um.
Oh man, I if I could get a PS5, I
Yeah.
hope I can get one
Get
by the
one
time the
and
sequel comes out.
sequel comes out, and then hopefully you can experience some of the better mission and side missions
Mhm.
besides the one from the first and game.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god.
I'd been holding off on buying the Miles Morales game for
Mm,
so long because I wanted to play it on PS5.
okay. Good.
And
Good on
then
you.
in December I caved because I knew I wasn't gonna get a PS5 and I wanted to play it.
Oh,
So I held off for like over a year, but
oh my god. Um,
yeah,
that that game had a really cool Tinker. The villain.
yeah,
I,
I liked Tinkerer was definitely better than any other
um,
adaptation I'd seen.
yeah. I like the one in Homecoming. He was very funny.
Yeah, he was not really like developed that
Yeah,
much.
yeah, but
So I think I liked
the one from the
yeah,
Miles
what's
game.
her name? Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked her more.
yeah, I agreed. I really liked their design. It very was very
Mm,
ritual. Uh,
yeah.
Finn, Phineas Mason, the female
Oh,
version.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Finn Mason.
yeah. Great. Another version, another character connected to the hero that
Mm-hmm.
also works. That yeah. Again, the games also know what they're doing. In this story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now, let's kind of get into like wrapping up the whole 60th anniversary. Um, what's your favorite story from Spider-Man?
Uh, I really like it's another like pick out of left field. Um,
Oh my god.
Spider-Man Blue.
Oh my god, the Jeff Loeb story.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
yeah. Um, it's a really like interesting like look into his relationship with Gwen. Um,
Yes.
and then I really liked the ending where like MJ comes up to him as he's like grieving at Gwen Stacy's grave on Valentine's Day instead
Mm,
of being with her. And she's not mad, she's just like understanding.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
they like go home together.
oh,
It just like it shows how much Gwen Stacy meant to Peter, but then also it shows how strong the relationship between Peter and MJ is.
yes.
Um, and
Very true.
like at the end of the day, like the best parts of the Spider-Man stories are like the Peter Parker like interpersonal
Yeah.
parts, like his relationships with the people in his life.
Yeah. And then
Um,
and the the influence that Spider-Man does as well.
mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's another one. Yeah, I agree. That's a good story. Yeah. Batman Long Halloween, another top story from Jeff Wolf. I like from the Batman universe. Uh, yeah. So mine, I guess, like mine personal favorite Spider-Man story is Kraven's Lost Hunt.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
I
it's a good one.
yeah, it's a good one. I mean, that one is probably the darkest Spider-Man story I ever read. I mean, I owned the Alien saga of Venom,
Hmm.
and they're great too. I mean, the build up between the suit to Venom, it's really great. But I think Kraven Last Hunt is really great because especially because I like Kraven the Hunter as a villain. You know, I think he's a cool character. I like his gimmick, but like I don't know, something about him. I think the version I like the most is from the Tiny Show, maybe, but it's not saying much. But I
Mm.
I think this story does a really good job of doing like an insight psychology on Craven and his perception of Spider-Man, and like it, I love his plan, like his twisted plan to put Spider-Man in the grave, and then him trying pretending to be Spider-Man, and then seeing Mary Jane like doing the the mundane routine of life, and then at the same time wearing where's Peter, and like it's just very like melancholy, story, and it's like
Hmm.
downbeat, but then towards the end it's very positive when Mary J renews with Peter after the whole thing is over, um, and the art it's really great. Um, the art by Mike Sick, it's really wonderful. It just has that like very Batman Detective Comics kind of feel to it. It's very just dark, and I really like that story as a Spider-Man thing. Um, I like the stories when we do something with the villains, um, expand them more and like get them death. Like
Hmm.
the Night of the Great Stacy, die, or like Green Goblin Reborn, and then I don't know if you want to do like a second favorite. My second favorite is The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man. That's the story where Spider-Man meets a fan, and is this kid has cancer, and
Mm.
that's one I want to bring out because that's another one that's so iconic. I mean, there's another story that does it again, and that's also great. I don't know what's that other story, but um, I think it's Dying Wish. I think um, question mark. Uh, but yeah, another story that's so powerful. Just uh, peer, me, a fan, and talking about and this was adapted in the '90s show very well, and yeah, not as strong as the comic. I feel like the comic is really great, and I think um, I think the kid who collects Spider-Man is really great. Worst. So what's your worst Spider-Man uh story you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the same as everyone's.
Oh my god, the One More Day.
Brand new day. Yeah,
Brand
one
New
more
Day.
day.
Oh my god. Oh my god, there's too many days
No, I think
stories.
it's. I'm
Yeah,
forgetting now. Yeah, is it?
it's One
I
More
think
Day.
it's one more day.
Yeah, it's One More Day because um there's a story called Brand New Day that's at like a after more One More Day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
One more day is the one that's.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God No Way Home does it better. Because that will.
It was a bold choice, adapting the storyline that no one loved.
Yes.
But they did it, and they did it well. So
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. Um, yeah, that's why I like No Way Home. It's very ambitious with the
mhm.
story, so that's good. But yeah, all right. So, anything else to talk about with Spider-Man? You want to go into the Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do this. So, now everyone, if you haven't seen the Amazing Spider-Man, I suggest you to click off and come back after you see the film. So, Will, so this is the 10th anniversary of Amazing Spider-Man. Of course, this is directed by Marc Webb. Of course, this is the first to star Andrew Garfield, and Emma Stone, and Rhys Ifans as the Lizard, and Denis Leary as Captain Stacy. Um,
Mhm.
um, so after the Raimi trilogy was officially done, when I think the news happened when Raimi said he was no longer going to direct it, and then we're going to get this reboot. What was your opinion on the announcement of having another reboot so early? Because that was the main talking part during this film's production.
Yeah.
Um,
I think at the time, I think I was just excited to have another one,
okay.
like another. I
Yeah.
think. Um. Yeah, I don't think I'd have that take now. I think 4 years is not enough time to like
Yeah.
cool down. But
Yeah. 5 years.
I-
5 years. Oh
okay,
07 to 012.
right. I always think that Spider-Man 3 came out in 08 for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just remember it
Oh my
being
god.
in 08. Yeah, I think they needed more time.
Okay.
And but at the time, I was excited.
Okay. Uh. Okay. So, my opinion.
But I was done talking, so you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Because yeah, our internet connection is unstable because of the weather, but whatever. Yeah, I had to wait and see. Feel to the film. Like I couldn't judge it. I think the trailers were very good. I think they were well edited. Um, like it wasn't like the Man of Steel problem where it was going to be dark. Sake of dark. Um, and I think the casting of Andrew Garfield looked great. I think he looked like Spider-Man. I think, and
Hmm.
I think of course casting Emma Stone was really exciting. I think at the time I did saw Easy Eight in my class one day or something like that. So I was very impressed
Hmm.
of seeing her, and I think she was really great. I think this is my first exposure to Emma Stone. I think. Because I didn't see The Help or Easy A. I think it was like afterwards of the amazing films. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess let's get into like overall thoughts. I think this movie is a very good reboot. I think it doesn't do the problematic problems of a reboot that's doing the dark tone. I think this movie like understands Spider-Man as a character and
Hmm.
understands the moral code and like value of what Spider-Man is to people and the comic book fans and like they do that very successfully. Like I like how the movies like when he was trying to chase down Uncle Ben's killer, but when he saves the two people on the bridge, the father and
Hmm.
son, and like he realized, okay, now I need to really need to become a hero, and like I love that, and like
Hmm.
it's one of the most touching scenes, and I think it's this is where they understand Spider-Man, and like, and I think they really did a good job of developing more on the personal, like intimate relationships to Peter and his supporting characters more, like the girlfriend Gwen Stacy, and a bit more with Aunt May, which I like.
Hmm.
Um, the grounded and personal stuff is the best part of the film. The worst part for me in this film is the comic book stuff, like the Lizard thing, the whole conspiracy with. Well, at the time I was waiting for the sequel, how they gonna handle it, but at the time I just didn't have opinion with that. But
Yeah.
the the stuff with the lizard was very underwhelming, and I feel like the action wasn't like it wasn't going to be Sam Raimi level, but it was decent and it was serviceable. So, what's your take on this film, Will?
Yeah. I love all of the relationship stuff, like with Gwen, with Aunt May and Uncle Ben.
Yes.
I thought the acting in this movie is better than like any of the other Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Like as I was watching it this week, it just really struck me that like Andrew Garfield is definitely the best actor that's played Spider-Man.
Yes.
Like he just gives such a great performance as Peter Parker. But yeah, no, I agree that like there are aspects of the plot that just don't work at all, and it's all the stuff with his dad, um,
And Oscorp
and
as well.
it's everything that was like everything that was building toward the sequel was bad,
Mm,
which I should have recognized at the time as a bad sign. But
yeah.
I loved everything else. Like I actually liked the lizard a lot in this movie.
Mm. Very intriguing. I
Yeah,
like to talk more about that.
I agree with what you said earlier about him like suffering in this movie because his family wasn't involved.
Mhm.
But I liked the relationship that he had with Peter, and I liked
Yes.
his motivation of like wanting to regrow his limb, and then like after he became the lizard and like went a little crazy, um,
Yeah.
wanting to like give that kind of like strength to everyone, like like heal everyone by
Yeah.
turning into a lizard, which
Like
is ridiculous. And like
yeah.
yeah,
Be the like apex predator, like in that line. Yeah. Like the next
yeah,
revolution, next stage of human stuff.
yeah. Like his goal was still to help humanity. He just
Yeah.
wanted to help them by turning them into lizards, which is so dumb, but
Oh
like in a
dear.
fun way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Um, I I you mentioned the peer relationship. Yes, I do agree on that part. I like the moments when he's talking to Peer. I like how he knew Peer's father. I think that was
Hmm.
like like an interesting angle to take the lizard, and I kind of wish we did more with that. Honestly, and um, I didn't mind. I mean, you mentioned the lizard turning people thing. Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Yeah.
he did that well. I think my problem was like I feel like he should be more menacing. I think that was my issue. Like
Mm.
the lizard. I mean, yes, the plots are silly, but like him as a antagonist is frightening. Like he is a scary creature.
Yeah.
Like he's scary in like the animation series, and
Hmm.
like in even Spectacular, he like I feel like the sign of his the sign of the lizard is good, but like I didn't like that they did the face like identical to the actor thing. I kind of wish we kept the snack that you usually see with the lizard.
This, yeah, the snout.
Yeah,
Yeah. He
I
did kind of look like Bowser from the Mario Bros. Movie.
oh that's that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is yeah. I I don't know. It's just me. I don't know. I didn't like how he looked in. I don't want to get into No Way Home, but like, I didn't like his design in No Way Home for some reason. I
Yeah. I definitely preferred him in The
here,
Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah.
yeah. Like at least I want to give it that. Like I will say the CGI on the lizard is good in this film. I
Yeah.
um
I think that's probably the only place where the CGI is good. As I
yeah.
was watching it, a lot of it has not aged well. Even
No,
like
no.
small stuff, like when glass breaks.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, the lizard, it feels like all of the budget went into making the lizard look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly. I think New York felt more New York here than the Raimi films. I think they spent a lot of money to create the New York streets, and like it felt New
Yeah,
York.
I I don't know. The Raimi films visit more New York locations, so like that
Yeah.
makes them feel like they're set in New York. But I do agree that the like lighting and atmosphere of this movie feels more New York.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah. I guess the thing about this movie, I kind of like before the Homecoming, it feels smaller.
mhm.
Like I like that it's not like this huge comic book like Stranganova kind of film like the Raimi films were. I like it was small scale until we got into the lizard plot. I felt like it was like Batman Begins, but
Mhm.
like imagine if Rachel Gould wants to turn people like the people of Gotham into ninjas or scarecrows. I just think it went too far with that. Yeah, I yeah, and I guess the reason I will like disagree on the budget, I think they did a good job of making the swinging of Spider-Man good. Like, I feel like the rate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you disagree on that? Okay,
No, no, I agree. I agree.
okay.
That was another thing that I noticed while I was watching it. I was like, the swinging in this is great.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
god, I love it. The final shot is my favorite. Spider-Man. Uh,
mm,
just him slowing down. Like, of course, it was in 3D at the time.
right, yeah.
But it was just it reminded me of like the John Romita like panel. Like it reminded me of that.
Hmm.
I will say I guess um let's kind of get into discussion of the Spider-Man suit. This is before the MCU when we get like the variety of suits.
Hmm.
What was your opinion on this new suit that the Amazing Team did? Like, I kind of like it initially. There's things I do not care for, but what's your
Yeah,
opinion on this new suit? I'm
yeah.
kind of
I
curious.
They perfected it in the Amazing Spider-Man too.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I really liked the like proportions of everything.
Yeah.
I hated the yellow eyes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's my problem.
the spider like logo being long looked kind of weird, but I get that they wanted to differentiate it from Maguire.
Yeah. I kind of wish they did the smaller one, like, or maybe like a, like, I don't know, like, yeah, the Spider-Man logo is always lawn ever since the John Romita senior days, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I didn't like we didn't have like the strap belt he usually had before the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I felt that was kind of weird to remove it because he had too much blue in, like,
Okay.
uh underneath. I feel
Mm.
like it's that. I like the texture of like the suit. Like it looked like a spanked like suit, but
Mm-hmm.
it looked too much like a basketball kind of look to it, and I don't know. I will say one thing I do like is the web shooters. I think that was a good,
Yeah.
like, I really dug the like little circle, and like
Mm-hmm.
you see the red light pumps like activate. Like it was so cool.
Yeah.
It was a big deal to see the web shooters finally, and like oh my god, it was like, oh my god, in heaven. um and I like the that Andrew was skinny too. Like that was another good thing. Like you saw the potential when we ever got like a comic accurate Spider-Man suit, you know, later down
Mm-hmm.
the road. Of course, we did, and two with Andrew. He looked great, and I think Andrew looked the most physical right Spider-Man before Holland came
Mm-hmm.
around. And because I think Holland is like he's like the perfect physical fit as Spider-Man. Like he's
Yeah.
like a Spider image, but I think
Yeah.
Andrew was like the most fit.
Andrew is also, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into Andrew. I will say you mentioned for you said before Andrew is the best actor playing Spider-Man. Like he I think he's my personal favorite Spider-Man actor.
Mm-hmm.
Just he's like the Hugh Jackman, Robert Downey Jr. level of, like, he cares about the character. I love his San Diego Comic Con
Yeah.
appearance he did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, one of the most iconic things, and I the best way to announce your actor. Well, he was announced before, but like be introduced to the whole world is great, and
Mm-hmm.
I just was so sad we didn't get more of him. Well,
Yeah, me too.
before No Way Home. But he was the best thing about No Way Home. He was my
Yeah, he's
favorite.
definitely a standout.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I love Andrew in this film. I mean, he just, like, his emotions was great when when Ben, like, did his like version of responsibility speech. I love
Mm-hmm.
his
Yeah.
counter attack of like, where's my dad here? Like that scene
Yeah.
makes it better. Like, oh my god,
Yeah. And it's really his performance that makes that scene.
yes, oh my god, he's so great. Um, uh, and is he your number one? Like, I try to remember. Was it Holland number one for you when we did No Way Home podcast? Right? Like,
Yeah, I think it's, well, okay. In terms of like acting ability,
mhm,
I think it's Andrew Garfield.
yes, I agree.
But as like an adaptation of the character, I would say Holland.
Mm,
But like
s-
Garfield's a close second.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I agreed. It's tough. I think I like Andrew more because his writing feels more Spider-Man than Holland. Like, I don't want to get into too much of the. We discussed it in the 60th anniversary talk,
Mm-hmm.
but I Andrew still feels like the comic book Spider-Man, and like everything is there. Like Ben is there. This responsibility is there, but it's different, of course, but it's fine for me. Um, May's there. Gwen, we have a comic book character love interest we know. Then this very radical, like, um, the version of a character we know, like, I'm talking about MJ, Michelle Jones, and the Holland
Hmm.
films. Like I think Andrew is one step ahead of Holland for me because he's more comic accurate character, but also they're contemporary also, and it's actually well done compared to any reboot. I would say. I like this version of Gwen Stacy. I don't know. I At the time
Hmm.
I didn't know Gwen was a scientist or that. I think it was good to make her a scientist here to
Hmm.
fit with Andrew's peer because
Yeah.
we were dealing more the scientific stuff of Spider-Man, which I appreciate about this reboot, and
Yeah.
I think they nailed it well.
Mhm.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Um,
no, I agree. And I think it gave her like more of a role in the
mhm,
film. And it gave her more like agency. Like she actually had things to do that would affect the plot.
yeah,
Um, she wasn't just like a damsel in distress. She was actually like doing things and helping.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I she's great.
yeah. Well, yeah, let's get into Gwen Stacy. Yeah, she's great. Another thing they do well with her was she understands the role. I like that we kept the police stuff from her background from the comics.
Hmm.
I like that we introduced Captain Stacy. Well, again, I mean, both of these characters first appear in Spider-Man 3, weirdly. I,
Hmm.
I, I forgot about that. I was like, wait a minute, this is the first time. No, Stacy popped up as Spider-Man 3 as well. Um, Weirdly. Anyway, I think it was good to, make the appointments that, Gwen knows the danger she's up to. Like she knows that already with her father being the captain and the police and stuff.
Hmm.
I really appreciate that. I like yeah, and I like how she's proactive and like she's not this very selfish, pardon my French bitch. Sometimes like that how Kristen Dunst's version of Mary J was in the Raimi trilogy, which I did not like. And I appreciate she was an understanding person. And like I like how she and Pierre had the same they had like the same ticks and like passion that they had in science and stuff like that. That all worked very well.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I was shocked that I finding out that Emma Stone, like her color was actually blonde, and because like, did you had the time like, did you had conversations with your friends like? It was weird that because at the time of this movie, she was a redhead, and she could have been a good Mary J as well. I did want to bring
Yeah,
that up, like
yeah, she could have been.
yeah, and it's so funny how just her turning into blonde just made it all work, which is
Hmm.
great. But yeah, she's amazing. She's my favorite comic book love interest in any live action movies after Tony and Pepper and Steve and Peggy. Um, and
Okay.
then yeah,
Yeah, I think
um,
she might be my favorite. I've never
yeah,
thought about it before, but
yeah. It's far in there's like few in between, unfortunately.
hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. And then what's your opinion on Captain Stacy? He got more a bigger role here than Spider-Man 3, of course.
Yeah,
Um, did you
I
like do you like
yeah,
Denis Leary?
I do. Denis Leary was great. Um, yeah, I don't know. I liked his like relationship with Gwen, um, his relationship with Peter. Um, I would have liked to have seen more of him.
Yeah. Um, I wish we didn't kill him off.
Yeah.
I because Stacy is very like important character during the Civil Age of the Spider-Man run, and
Hmm.
then and also in Spectacular. But I think killing off made sense. I didn't like the stuff they did with him in Amazing Spider-Man 2, like the ghosts of Stacy and all that.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just me, maybe. But
Yeah, and there's very little about the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that I like. So
yeah, um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Okay. What else we have to mention? Oh, I guess one thing I did like, I like about this film. It felt more comic book, like we're borrowing various things from the Spider-Man lore than the. I like that this reboot continued what I like about the Raimi trilogy was borrowing a couple of things from the lore of Spider-Man from comics and medium. I like that they took the spectacular Spider-Man way of like having like Norman or like the Oscar be the one that created the villains. I like that idea initially. Um until,
Hmm.
obviously I didn't mind it. I just wish we didn't focus on it as like a expanded universe. I just wish we just kept it small and like say, okay, like Norman needs to defeat Spider-Man, and it was different from Spectacular, where Tombstone was the big man, as he was referring in that show. He was trying to distract Spider-Man with the bigger villains so that his small crew can steal and get the profits he was trying to do.
Hmm.
Here I like the idea of like Oscorp making the villains of Spider-Man's Rose Gallery. What you thought about that? Like it was a good way to be efficient.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I liked the like genetic engineering um twist on like the origin for Spider-Man and a lot of his rogues gallery, because
Yes.
they are all like animal themed, and then it goes along with like with the original Spider-Man origin. It was like a radioactive spider because radioactivity was like the big
Thing.
fear of the time.
Ooh, that's
And
true.
then like 2012, there's a lot of like fear mongering around genetic engineering and that kind of thing. So it was like
Oh,
a modernization of that. I thought it
yeah.
worked really well.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Because in the Raven trilogy, it was like a genetically inspired, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It just
Okay,
they really doubled down on it for the Amazing Spider-Man films, and I thought it worked really well.
that's true. I like it too. I just wish I think we can get into now the villain plan, because I think one of my main issues with both film series um is that the villains were way too fantastical for these grounded films that they're trying to do. And I I feel like maybe we shouldn't have more grounded villains like Vulture and Mysterio were in the Holland MCU films.
Hmm.
Um, I because I like the Lizard and Electro. I think they were good potential main villains, but in hindsight, I feel like they were way too fantastical for these films and what they're trying to do. I feel like
Yeah,
I I kind of wish we had Craven or the Chameleon as villains for these films. I think made it more sense. But
yeah. No,
I
I
don't know.
agree. And
But
like I think you can justify the lizard because it's the same like
yes,
science as the spider. But
yes.
no,
Um,
Electro definitely. I mean, again, like
yeah.
the Amazing Spider-Man 2 took so many wrong turns.
Yeah. So many run turns. I because you mentioned the peer, and like at least the lizard, the relationship with the hero and villain makes sense
Hmm.
when it is with the hero, where the electro thing is not even connected to Spider-Man. Like he's like a very undeveloped character. Like it, he doesn't know Peter. Like we're doing more with the Harry and Peter stuff in the Amazing Spider-Man too.
Right.
Um, and
Which,
yeah, again, just and another afterthought is like why we need Harry in this film. It's
yeah,
just
why do we need to do that again? We already did that.
yeah, exactly. Um, Oh my
Yeah.
god. So we got okay, what we're talking about? Will, remind me again.
Uh, Harry.
Harry. Oh, yeah. Let's get into the I think that's good to lead into the conversation of leading into familiar territories to the Raimi films and to this film.
Hmm.
I think the biggest letdown with these films is that honestly they rebooted too early, but I feel like they lean too far to like the extreme measures of trying to be different, but then they have these weird coincidences of familiar scenes or setups that Raimi did. Like, yeah, you mentioned Harry. I I mean, Harry, the setup of Harry was, I wish they had Harry here, you know,
Hmm.
like, Harry is a important character, to set up him as the second goblin, um,
Yeah.
like, I don't have the problem of having Harry become the first goblin over Dorman because we did that twice. In the 90s show, Hobgoblin was the first goblin. The Spectacular Spider-Man, the Green Goblin was a mystery, but it was Harry was the one that was the Green
Hmm.
Goblin in that universe. So I I just don't know where was that logic in not having Harry here in this movie. So you know, have him in the sequels just didn't make
Yeah.
sense.
I feels like from a production perspective, they made this first movie and then they're like, oh great, like we've got a successful Spider-Man franchise on our hands. Let's cram
Yeah,
everything we want to do into the second one.
yeah, I know. Oh my
And it
god,
just exploded.
explode. I mean, far worse than Spider-Man 3. Like,
Yeah. It,
I oh my god, at least for Spider-Man 3, I I I I don't know how you rank your films. It's always a toss up, which is the worst. But at least Spider-Man 3 is a Raimi film. Like it still feels like the first two, but it just has less focus. It's not tightly written like those
yeah.
films are.
No,
And
I definitely always put Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the bottom.
hmm, I should do that because I don't know. Maybe it's because the music for Hans Zimmer with the electro, just like I enjoy that more.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh god. Um, and then I guess another one that was like why do we need like Peter do the wall walking again, like him discovering his power, like like he did when like when Parker leaves from school after having that fight with Flash
Hmm.
and stuff. Yeah, I actually have Amazing Spider-Man 2 as my 10 bottom list. Okay, so I'm happy about that. Anyway, but yeah, that was weird. And then, what was the other familiar one that like was similar, to, like him waking up very disoriented, like was similar to
Hmm.
Raimi's film. So I'm blanking on what other ones that were like like similar to the first film, in The Amazing. Um, I trying to figure out. So the civilians helping out Spider-Man. That was like very much Raimi.
Yeah.
Like the
Hmm.
cranes and like
Yeah.
Spider-Man had like it was kind of similar to Raimi's first two Spider-Man films. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
don't think it was done as well as the Raimi movies.
oh really? I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer this because it was the same person that he saved. Like we knew him.
Yeah. I like that. I
Um,
don't know. All the cranes being perfectly lined up uh,
yeah,
is kind of convenient.
yeah. It was goofy. I mean,
Yeah, it feels really like cheesy in a way that the rest of the movie didn't.
yeah, I know.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
I guess. Quick question. Do you think the dark tone was maybe unnecessary, or you think it was actually at least a good attempt to it compared to some other superhero reboots? Like I feel this was handled better than Man of Steel or
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah. No, I definitely think it was handled better. I think it helped differentiate it from the Raimi movies. I just wish they
Mhm.
had been a little more consistent with it.
Yes, I agree on that. Um, but yeah, ugh. Yeah, I wish so. Yeah, because at least this film was not like mean spirited like Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Um, I I feel like the Man of Steel was way too dark. It was way cynical, and I hate when film like the creators or the people that involved the film are saying these positive and like in special in a special things to this character that we care about, like
Hmm.
Superman. But
Hmm.
that's not what I seen in the movie at all. And like, I don't mind Man of Steel. I'm not like the Man of Steel hater, but like I I disagree with what they say sometimes when they're talking about the film. And then here, I think the creators did a really good job of like they were very consistent in what was going on in the film, and that was good. The stuff with the Lester stuff is like it's up to you if you accept the silliness of that, you know. But yeah, I think that's good. What do you thought about the action? Um, I I mean, eh,
It
eh,
was okay. There's one scene where he's fighting the lizard at Midtown Science High. That I like.
yes,
I like that fight scene a lot.
yes.
Um,
Um, one of the
but other
best.
than that,
Yeah,
mhm.
one of the best Stanley cameos.
Oh yeah,
That
it's a good one.
oh my god, just seeing the Lizard versus Spider-Man, and then while he's like cleaning the library, oh my god, that was so hilarious. Oh my god, it was like my favorite after his cameo in Thor. Um,
Yeah, with
yeah,
the truck. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, did I get it, guys? It was so funny. Oh my god, Stanley, I love him.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, the mid High was really great. It reminded me of the issue with Sandman when he attacked Peter in the school.
Hmm.
So I kind of like how they did it, but they did it with the lizard. Oh, and speaking of coolness, I like when he came out from whatever bathroom. Uh, he had the coat, the white coat. That's another thing
Yeah.
uh that I don't like about this version of the lizard or No Way Home is like he needs the coat. Like that,
Yeah. He wears it a few times. It just gets ripped off when he grows.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But yeah, no, I do like when it's just like a giant lizard man wearing a coat.
yeah,
It's a good visual.
yeah. Like,
And it
like
reminds you that he's still like intelligent under there.
yes. I don't get it. Like, I want to see his purple pants. Like, I remember that as a kid. I mean, I want that. Come
Hmm.
on. Anyway, I'm just saying, as a as a lizard fan, I feel like you need to, because he just looks more like Croc, but like even Croc has clothes. Like I don't just Killer Croc. What I'm saying, but
Hmm.
it's just yeah. Um, what else? We do have to mention Sally Field as Ant Man. Ant Man. Uh, I like her. I think she's not my favorite. I think the one from the Raimis she's my favorite from uh as portrayal of Aunt May. But I think Sally Field is second. I think she was really great as
Hmm.
Aunt May. I think she has more stuff to do in the second film, and I like her there as well. Um, uh,
Yeah,
yeah. I like the casting here. They did a
me
really
too.
good casting here. I like Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben. I think he was a good pick. Um,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I know we discussed about the responsibility speech. I
Hmm.
don't mind it. I think it the I think the speech makes sense. I at least
Yeah.
and I like we like make that as like a recurring theme until he hears the phone call that as a payoff,
Yeah.
where it was left off. So I like the speech what he was doing and what he was trying to tell Pierre. But it is kind of weird not to say, the great power
Yeah.
comes,
Yeah. It feels like they wanted to say that, and then they were like, but we don't want to like retread that, so we're gonna phrase it differently. But then when they phrased it differently, it was like when you have to hit a word limit, so you start like adding different phrases to
Excuse me.
your
Yes.
sentences, you know?
Yeah.
Just is too long.
Yeah. I think you should say you should have a obligation to hold your responsibility. I think that is a good way to say that great power comes with responsibility. I think. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. It was way too long, and you know, just it was just a little clunky as usual. And then what else? I guess what else we haven't discussed about this film? I'm looking at it now. Do you want to talk about the setup with the family and um the potential, or you want to say that for the sequel? Because I mean, I because
we can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So because I personally, for me, I think the way they did it here was, I think, good enough, but the sequel took it too far, I think, in a very just unbelievable returns. I don't mind what Amazing Spider-Man 2, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, where, okay, Richard Parker was trying to help, Norman to be cured, but then he didn't know it was going to be used for military purposes, right? As stated. That's not a bad idea, and but I kind of wish we maybe develop more of like the friendship that Richard and Norman has, and like palliated to the sons they have, Pierre and Harry. But because how Amazing Spider-Man 2 is, you mentioned before, they random so much stuff there. So many undeveloped plot points just doesn't get the attention it should have, right? And but I think the way we handled the mystery and all that is good in this first film. I did not like how Peter convenient sees the symbols that he knows from his father notes to the guy who's like a lackey to Norman Osborn. And then when it was dropped to the floor during the tour of the Oscorp building. I'm trying to find the character's name. I forget.
What you're talking about.
He's a major character. I just where Parent Killer. Not the gentleman. He was listed here somewhere.
You're talking about the one that's played by Irrfan Khan, right?
Yes. Yeah, the Oscars executive. Like, he was Connor's superior. So when he dropped his folder and then like that, I did not need. I think that was way too convenient. But it wasn't as bad as Man of Steel, like how Superman finds out about the alien ship. So it was less convenient. But but overall, I think this film was really great. I think there was so much potential, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. I guess I have a question. um, if these films were successful, if we didn't have, two being very lukewarm, do you think that Andrew was like he was maybe able to enter in the MCU? Like, if
Yeah,
there was ever a plan to put the Spider-Man character in the MCU before that ever happened?
yeah, I think he would have fit in very well, especially at the time. And then I know there was plans, or there was a
Yes,
plan. Like they wanted to put Oscorp Tower in the New York skyline during the Avengers,
yes.
and they were
I
like in talks with Sony to do that.
And it didn't happen. It's weird.
Yeah.
Apparently, like they say, they couldn't add it into it because all the VFX or whatever was done, and it's like, well, you can add in the thing right away. It's not like so much money to put a building there, right? Like,
Mhm.
I, I didn't understand that. Um, and then like if we have Andrew like as Spider-Man, you think it could be impossible to have him be in the Avengers Age of Ultron final scene because Josh mentioned how like it was like Captain Marvel was there, and like originally the lineup was supposed to be the new team with Vision, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel apparently, and Spider-Man. Like, do you think that could be Andrew there or a different actor maybe? But
Uh, at
just
the time, it was 2015.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird because
Uh,
the weird thing, but the deal happened uh in 2015. That's the thing
right.
people don't understand, that the deal happened in 2015
Yeah.
before Age of Ultron.
Yeah. It probably would have been a different actor. Just because they already knew that the second movie hadn't done well, and they were in discussions with Marvel Studios about rebooting it within the MCU.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited for talking about the Sony hack. Uh, in the Mason Raymond too. Wild
Mhm.
things I heard since. Like apparently, did you know that I don't know? We mentioned in No Way Home. Like I don't know. Some reason, Zendaya's MJ throwing the bread like was like a reference to apparently this crazy rumor of Pascal or someone throwing a sandwich at someone.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my god. We oh my god, when we get to we need to bring that up because that was one of the most funniest like Sony hack like gossip thing ever come from a hacking
Mhm.
uh reach. Oh my god, it's crazy. Um but yeah. Um yeah, any more thoughts on the Amazing Spider-Man? I think we covered everything for
Yeah,
this
we
film.
covered a lot.
Yeah. This film is very long. It's like 2 hours. Like it's 136 minutes. Like they have a lot to do here.
Hmm.
Um, I personally think they should have maybe cut some things. In favor of me developing more on Connor's character
Hmm.
development. And
Yeah.
I will say there were missed opportunities or weird contradictions in this film that was weird. Like Denis Leary, Captain Stacy. Like
Hmm.
first he was talking to Peter in the police station where Peter was trying to tell him that Connors is doing something bad, and he, afterwards told his one of his workers to check on Connors. And but then we get this like very typical superhero like like this one man comp doesn't like the hero, so he's doing the task force thing, like
Hmm.
that scenario, and like that came out of nowhere, and and then when we get into Connors, like I wish we develop more of Kirk Connors. And this is the same thing that's going to happen in two when we discuss this, is the deleted scenes. I wish they kept the deleted scene of him when he was going to the jail, talking to his son. I really like that deleted scene. I, I feel like that was very important to show. It was similar how Richard was doing to Pierre, and it was apparently so much on Connor. Like, I don't understand why they cut that. It's just I I just like I just wish we develop more Kirk Carnage, because there's things about him that is very interesting, and like it's very classic Spider-Man villain, and in a good way than what happened with Spider-Man 3 with Venom and Sandman and all that, right? But it's so undercooked because the Venom plot is just so too fantastical, I feel like, and not too like it's not grounded in the way that the film is. I feel like that's the jarring part about the third act. So, but yeah. Anyway, any more thoughts after that uh point? Um, and any more thoughts?
I think I'm all right. I think I've said everything that I had to say about the movie.
That's cool. Well, Will, we're this is the last day for us to do a podcast on January. So next week is going to be February, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do next, buddy? You want to do? I mentioned Spider-Man, the first Raimi film. Do you want to do that as the next podcast, or do you want to do something else?
We could do the Raimi movie.
Okay, let's do that. Because it's the 60th anniversary, so we can do one more talk on Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Very curious about your thoughts on that film. I think it'd be very cool. So thank you, Will, for joining me today for this very snowy Friday.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So everyone, thank you for joining us for this spectacular podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion on Spider-Man's 60th anniversary talk and the Amazing Spider-Man 10th anniversary talk. Me and Will will be back for next Sunday for the first Raimi Spider-Man film. Have a good weekend, you guys.